Greetings, my friends. Welcome to the Let's Get Gritty podcast with yours truly, Dr. India White. I'm thrilled to be here with you today. Let's talk about grit. Let's do this. So thankful for the Grit Tribe, for every single one of you that return back every time and that have been sharing the word about this podcast. Thank you so much. First things first, the Let's Get Gritty podcast with Dr. India White will be featured on Spotify and all of my main social media platforms. So check me out. Here are some of my social media platforms. We've got Facebook is Miss India White. LinkedIn is The India White. Twitter's Indie Speak and Teach. Instagram is Indie238. YouTube is India White 123. And TikTok is Dr. India White. I invite you to check out the website, www.india-white.com for books, blogs, and to schedule me for speaking events. Yes, there is a link where you can book me. Thank you to those that have been doing that. I'm really excited about joining you to talk about grit or to do some PD. Let's do this. I also wanted to remind you guys of some upcoming events. Now, I want to just say I'm so thankful for FAMT for the opportunity to speak there. And speaking at the Making Math Moments conference was a blast. I was able to speak to so many people from all over. I was really excited. I didn't expect people from South Africa and Switzerland and Canada and New York and Washington and so many different places, California. Like everybody was in the session and it was a lot of fun. So thank you to John and Kyle and all of those with the Making Math Moments tribe and to all of the teachers and the leaders that came to see the session and that were very supportive. Thank you. Now, I'm looking forward to this week speaking in South Carolina as a keynote speaker. I think we're going to have a really good time talking about grit. We're going to understand grit. We're going to get it. We're going to get it together. And then, of course, speaking at the NABC conference with you amazing rock star superintendents, leaders, principals. You guys are my people. I just have a soft spot for principals and superintendents. I love y'all. I just love being among you guys. So I can't wait to see your shiny, bright faces and to hear of the wonderful, innovative things that you guys are doing and to see how you can do it through grit. So also, I wanted to remind you guys of the Grit Mini Workshop on the Grassroots Workshops website. So check it out when you get a chance. Yes, that's awesome. And then also the Grit Academy, taking tutoring. Anyone that needs tutoring, or send them my way. Send your little ones my way. I would be honored to work with you. Now, with that said, I do want to talk about grit today because we've all been so gritty, and some of you are working on like little projects and things. I see you out there, and you know I'm joining you. I do have a grit calendar that I'm launching. I will give you more details. So just be mindful, be on the watch out because I'm super excited about all that good stuff. And it's so neat because people are already getting it. They're doing pre-orders for it. So it's just a really good time that I know we're going to be able to bridge the gap with that. And it's for, any area, any walk of life. So it makes it even better. Now, I want to talk with you about grit, great resilience in time, And I want to talk with you about everyday grit, G.R.I.T, meaning the growth mindset, the resilience, the self-efficacy, and the time management. How do we make grit work every day? So yes, I did some snooping and I found some things that we can speak to. And then of course, I'm going to talk from my heart about grit in the grit framework and how we can make this work for our everyday use. Okay. So join me by Dr. Damian Vaughn. And he wrote about what is grit, 5 ways to develop it without burning out. That's what I'm talking about. Cool lady there. So what is grit? So they're talking about the queen, Dr. Duckworth. And so it says, she's the author of Grit. Yes, she defines it as applied, focused attention, resilience, perseverance, and dedication. I absolutely love it. Love it. And it says that she studied grit for years. Yes, she did. And she says it's the single trait. I'm so thankful that she did this because she really just helped me just solidify why we need to motivate everyone around us. And so it says it's the single trait in our complex and wavering nature, which accounts for success even more important than natural talent. You guys hear that? Ability and intelligence. Most people would agree that grit matters when it comes to success. But what is grit? And why is it important? So the thing is, like, people are like, what is grit? People always think that like grit is like for like the guys at the gym that are like super buff and like doing their like moves. Hey, that's all good. They're gritty, but that is not the only time that you use grit. Like grit can be used in every area of your life, right? So we've got to figure out how can we like capitalize on grit and what we do every day. Because the opposite of grit, if you look at the definitions and the antonyms, the opposite of grit, I believe it's going to be laziness, and retardation is the opposite of grit. Again, when you look in the dictionary, the opposite terms for grit are laziness and retardation. So let's stay gritty. Let's get back to this. So they're talking about grit, perseverance, and effort to achieve a long-term goal, right? Without passion, you got to have passion. Then perseverance leads to burnout. And without perseverance, we simply give up. So grit gives people a mental toughness that enables them to persist. One of my favorite words, persist, and even succeed in the face of adversity. I can't tell you how many times, guys, I can't tell you how many times I wrote the word persist in my dissertation. I was like, perseverance and persistence were like at the top. I remember I said the word persist more than I said anything else. Like it was just, I mean, so I see that word, I was just like thinking of all the trips I took to Panera Bread when I was working on my doctorate. So excuse me for having a moment. Sometimes I have these silly moments, but that definitely was one of them. So I think of the word persist, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, so we persisted, and we're still persisting. We are gritty. So let's get back to this article. Okay, so it says, she was talking about persistence, and it says, they even succeed in the face of adversity. So for this reason, grit experts such as Duckworth consider grit the single most important personality trait. Yes, she is singing to the choir, right? That all high achievers share. It's not that these individuals experience fewer setbacks. It's just that they're adaptive and they're resilient. Exactly. Adaptive is key. You got to have a fixed mindset to be gritty. They don't give up when faced with challenges. In short, grit is a secret to achieving any long-term goal. And it says the difference between those who have grit and those who don't is their mindset. So how do you measure grit? So she has a really cool grit scale. She has some questions like, I'm a hard worker. I often set a goal, later pursue different goals like that. And so, you know, it's imperative that we look into these things. I also have a grit assessment on my website that I kind of want to show you guys as well, which is kind of like that. But it's cool because it goes into the different levels of the framework. And the reason why we need it is because it really, I'm going to stop sharing for a little bit, and then I'm going to take you guys to the framework on my website so that you can see how it's kind of similar. And this is based off of a Likert scale, and you're asking questions. So like resilience, I'm able to bounce back from setbacks, or, you know, I can adopt a change, growth mindset. You know, I believe failure is an option to learn and grow. I mean, it just goes throughout. And then you kind of like, you measure yourself, and then you get rated like by a bunch of points, and then you go from there. So it's like the same theme, the same type of idea. But then I also give you guys pointers as to like how you can like build your grit levels. It's all about building grit levels. It's all about building the grit muscle, you know, muscles. I don't have much of a muscle here, but you get what I'm saying. All right, guys, I'm just trying to have fun with you. That's all. Now, let's get back to this Rockstar's article. So they're talking about her amazing assessment, and it says, why does grit matter? Grit matters because it bridges the gap between raw talent and potential in achieving success. And so it just keeps going on and on. And oh, look at that, looking gritty. So she's gritty if she's working on this. Um, Looks like she's working on something, an assignment. She's got her babies there, gritty. And look, it says some key. So they found here are some key characteristics: perseverance. I've told you guys that. Resilience, courage, passion, and then conscientiousness. Excuse me. So I think this is great. I love resilience also. True grit is supported by resilience. When your times get rough, it's important to have an effective self-care practice to ensure you're progressing. Can we say the word progressing in a way that maintains your health? Now let's go down to, I love this. Look, it says find your passion, then practice, contribute to a greater purpose in yourself, right? Give yourself time, right? So no one achieves success overnight. And then immerse yourself in a gritty culture. I told you guys, you can have a culture of grit. I've said this so many times because I just know it's true. It says grit is what helps great performers reach the edge of ability. It's what helps them to show up and to persevere despite incredible odds, right? So isn't that pretty cool? So we were able to talk about that. And I just like how they talked about the culture of grit. Grit works. It's a trait, but it can be used as a tool. And then once you're using it effectively as a tool and a trait, it becomes a culture. It becomes a way of life. I mean, there are times I'm talking to my little ones, and I talk to them about grit, and I talk to them in the language of grit. There is a language to grit, where it's more than just like, oh, keep that grit. It's more than that. It's like, especially like when you're looking at the framework, the thing I love about it is when you're measuring the levels, you can measure those levels in conversation. So you could say, like, for instance, say you have an essay to do. And you're like, okay, well, I've got to write this essay. So for all you English teachers, I've got to write this essay. I don't know if I'm going to either finish it in time. So then you need to look at your grit levels and see, why is my time management off? What is going on, right? And then you need to assess that situation and see, what can I do to stay on track? That's why I have things like my grit calendar and things like that to help you with that. Or if you're like, I have to write this essay, but I'm just not feeling like I'm the rock star that I was told I am. Like, I feel like I just don't know if I have what it takes. Then that means that your self-efficacy is low. And then that means you need to pump yourself up through affirmation statements. You need to think about the things that you've done before, right? And then you've got to where you're like, I want to do this essay, but it's just another thing. I'm just so over it and just, it's just not going to change. Then that means you've got to work on your growth mindset. How can I be positive about this, right? How can I switch my thinking? How can I say, it's another essay, but it's developing me to my ultimate goal of becoming an author, or my ultimate goal of passing this class, or writing, like, I don't know, whatever you have aspiring, whatever you're aspiring to be. See what I mean? And then, of course, resilience. If you're like, I've got to write this essay, but I've got this to do and that to do and this to do. And so many things have come up and I'm overwhelmed. Then your resilience says, I'm going to beat all of these obstacles, all of these setbacks and shortcomings, and I'm going to push through no matter what has come on my plate. I remember there were times I was studying, and my little ones, when I was, getting my doctorate, when I first approached, Dr. Eldridge, I was actually had just pretty much had my son, or was about to have my son. So many of you moms out there that are persisting and going to school, kudos to you, but you understand what it's like to carry this load of being a mom, being a student, and being able to compartmentalize, right? And that takes grit, that takes resilience, that takes being able to compartmentalize enough to get the job done. And I remember there were times I had to drive way up to UF and then drive back to Tampa, when I was studying. And, it was a lot of work, but we persisted, we pushed through. Grit is not for convenience. It will not feel convenient. But once you get it, you make your life more convenient. So, it's either to, we're going to wallow in what is, and, whatever, or we're going to do something about our situation, through grit to change or to fulfill a purpose, right? So with that said, it's all about everyday grit. And so now I want us to look at some really cool things I found about grit. I found this really cool article here for us, and it's talking about the ultimate guide to grit, mental toughness, and meditation. The ultimate guide to grit, mental toughness, and meditation. And so it says the marshmallow, the jelly bean, and the rock. Okay. Not the Rock, the wrestler, even though I think he's absolutely fabulous. It says, when it comes to mental toughness, it is said that there's 3 types of people: the marshmallow. I'm sorry. I just think it's silly. The jelly bean, okay, and the rock. Soft inside and out. Marshmallow. So which one are you? Think about it. Are you a marshmallow today? Are you a marshmallow? Are you a jelly bean? Or are you a rock? Let's look and see. So marshmallow, it says soft inside and out. Marshmallows quickly squish under the slightest pressure. With hard shell and soft inner core, okay, jelly beans can withstand some stress, but in time, they always buckle. Uh-oh. That's not good, right? Hard inside and out, rocks can handle anything. I like that. Then it says, according to a world famous University of Penn psychologist, the rock star Dr. Duckworth talks about her TED Talk, her best-selling grit book. She talks about how mental toughness is the secret sauce pumping through the veins of successful people. I love that. It says successful people have grit. So it says every summer, some 1,300 cadets enter the prestigious United States Military Academy at West Point. And it talks about to ensure they have what it takes, they must pass the Beast Barracks, okay? And so it talks about how it's an incredible difficulty, many drop along the way. And when Dr. Duckworth looked at these rock stars, she found that the winner trait was grit. This is awesome. Okay, now, how does meditation make your brain gritty? That's interesting. Because you would never think, right? You would never think that meditation leads to grit. You think meditation would almost relax and calm. You're relieving yourself, right? But they're saying it's making you gritty. Like, very interesting. So let's keep reading. I want to see this. I don't know. Let's see what they're saying. And I like this. You can train your mind to do the impossible. The hint, it's meditation. Huffington Post. Okay. All right. If an election were held for the grittiest brain reaction, the interior, okay, so this ACC would win by a landslide with pain, resistance, willpower, motivation, focus, and emotional resilience among ACC's wide range of functions. This powerful brain region ticks all the gritty, mental, tough boxes. So it looks like we need to focus on that area of the brain. Interesting. So it says that it helps with pain resistance, willpower, motivation, focus. That is the part of the brain we need to focus on. The anterior cingulate cortex. Interesting. I wonder if you could look at that part of the brain for each person. And I guess that's what Dr. Duckworth did. And so here it says that Grant et al., they looked at 17 different brains of meditators to 18 normal brains. And they found that meditators' brains, they had thicker gray matter in the anterior cingulate cortex with the degree linked to years of experience. So in other words, meditation fortifies the brain's grit center. OMG. I'm loving this because then you can, when you're reflecting on like your grit level. So I love that because I talk about reflection and looking at your grit levels and seeing like where you are, where you're gritty. So can you imagine if you did like maybe a grit assessment, maybe my grit assessment or whatever, or Dr. Duckworth's, whatever, and then you would meditate to see like, what do I need to do? How do I need to improve? And like do some type of reflection. And then you're like building your grit levels. I think it's an excellent idea. So feel free to steal that. Let's get back to this. I'm really loving this. Okay, so it says, all right, so meditation strengthens our inner Rocky Balboa in other ways too. Like what? From focusing our mind to eliminating fear, love that, instilling confidence, to cranking up to our motivation, meditation's mental toughness, upgrades, span the 7 great C's. I like that. So, wow, this is amazing. This has turned into a whole like mental activity. Your subconscious and unconscious mind are incredibly powerful. So they have some benefits of meditating and longevity, life extension. Oh my goodness, guys, check this out when you get a chance. Oh my word. Weight loss. Oh wow. Oh my goodness. Grit and mental toughness. I like this. Get gritty with meditation. Oh my goodness. I think this is like just shopping on Black Friday. I'm excited about this. My mind is just like, wow. Okay. This is great. All right. So that was pretty cool. I'm going to stop sharing there, but it seems like now there is a correlation with the whole psychological impact of the mind and grit. So that's a whole nother level, right? For a whole nother day of maybe we need to look at what's going on in the minds of our students. And we as educators and leaders, what is going on in our minds when you're running that business? What's going on in your mind? You know, do you have time to meditate? Can you make time to meditate? You know, I know we get so busy and so bombarded, but I think that we definitely need to continue to follow the good energies that are out there and to yield ourselves to that self-care and that love. And if you do love yourself enough, you will give yourself enough time to meditate and love and, you know, seek therapy, counseling, support, and be around people and energies that love you, and be willing to close the doors on those that don't. Because you have an assignment, right? You can't spend all of your time knocking on doors that aren't healthy for you. Okay. So with that said, now let's look into the next thing I found for us on grit, on everyday grit. I just think this is so good. Like, wow.
I'm here today to motivate you to redefine your impossible. Now, I'm not here to tell you to go out and break world records or go to the next Olympics, but I'm here to remind you that you accomplish your goals in life. And I believe that the key ingredient to accomplishing your goals in life comes from grit.
Yes.
But what exactly is grit? Well, grit is the perseverance and passion for a long-term goal. It's the ability to keep moving despite adversity. Basically, when things get hard, you're going to need to work harder. Angela Duckworth, the world's leading expert on grit, stated that grit may be more important than IQ or talent in predicting success. So now that we know what grit is, how do we develop grit? Well, I believe that grit is a simple 3-ingredient recipe, just like my morning toast. You have the bread, you have the peanut butter, and you have the banana. Now, although the ingredients to grit may be harder to purchase, once you get hold of them, you are way more likely to achieve your goals in life. So I believe that the first ingredient to developing your grit is finding an intrinsic motivation.
Yes.
I like to call this the eye of the panther, because a panther is fierce, proud, and brave.
For the sake of Ted, I've been slapped on the hand quite a few times. I don't want to do any copyrights. With that said, guys, I'm super thankful to talk with you today about everyday grit. We've got to keep that intrinsic motivation. We have to think about the psychological effect of, meditation, and also just remembering the framework, that growth mindset, that resilience, the time management, self-efficacy, and how we can just spin those around. And, you can toss those in like a salad, a gritty salad every day to make sure that you're pursuing your goals and that you're achieving them and that you're thriving. Guys, it's been great being here with you. Thank you so much again for joining me on the Let's Get Gritty podcast with Dr. India White. Again, some announcements for you. is if you're wanting to know where the show will be found, it'll be on Spotify and all of my main social media outlets. Also, you can follow me on, you can look at my website first, www.india-white.com. I've got so many things on there for you guys, constantly brewing new things. My Facebook is Miss India White for social media. LinkedIn is The India White. Twitter's Indie Speak and Teach. Instagram is India238. YouTube is India White 123. TikTok is Dr. India White. And then there's Blue Sky, which is Dr. India Grit. That is my name there. So Blue Sky is Dr. India Grit. So check me out there. I know it's like a new platform, or well, we're just crossing over on there too. So looking forward to seeing you guys there. I will see you guys this week, South Carolina, and I'll see you in Atlanta. I'm looking forward to that. Thank you, Savis, for being fabulous for that. Please check out the Grit workshops when you get a chance. Grit mini workshop. I also have a Grit masterclass for you guys if you're interested in that too. If you're needing tutoring, please do not be a stranger. Let me know. I'd be honored to work with you and your students to get them along. And so with that said, this has been an absolutely fabulous show. I'm super honored to be here with you. And again, the calendar is starting to fill up for 2025. Speaking of calendars, please check out the Grit. Check out the Grit calendars when you get a chance so that you can stay gritty throughout the school year. And not just the school year. If you're a business owner, if you're in church, ministry, any area of life, then you can bark upon that and do what you need to do to thrive in that. But like I said, you guys have all of my information. You know how to find me. I'm here for you. And so thank you so much again for joining me on the Let's Get Gritty podcast with Dr. India White. And until next time, stay gritty. See ya.